YouTube viewers and random Doctor Who fans, I come before you today to review this, which is the 10th Doctor with Dalek Collector's figure set, and here it is in its packaging, which is mostly blue with the classic era logo in the top corner. The set is from the 10th Doctor's era, which of course was 2005 to 2010, and the set is from the 2008 episode The Stolen Earth, except it's not, but more on that later. And it features a classic Dalek action figure, except it doesn't, as this is a revived series Dalek. Wow, this is going well. The window is fairly large and extends up to the top of the box, which shows off both figures very well. The sides contain images of the 10th Doctor, one is a generic publicity photo, while the other is a screenshot from Journey's End. The back of the box features yet another image of the Doctor, although this time around it looks as though it's been painted or something. It just looks a bit weird. We also get a bit of a bio on the 10th Doctor, along with a bit of info on the Daleks themselves. As always, if you want to read it, pause the video, as I just can't be bothered reading it out. So that's it for the packaging. Let's open it up and take a look at this figure set. Okay, so here we have the 10th Doctor and Dalek, and both look pretty good. Taking a look at the Doctor, the face sculpt is excellent. It really looks like David Tennant. Although, why they've released this figure with his Look Smarter specs on is a little strange, as I can't remember him wearing them much in the episode. The hair sculpt looks gorgeous though. They've really captured that sticky-uppy style, to quote Wilfred Mott. But the individual clumps of hair on the top of his head have been detailed perfectly, as have the brush trails around his hair. Moving down to the torso, again this is something I can't really remember him wearing in the episode much, or at all for that matter, which is his brown trench coat. It does look really good, however, with the detailing of lapels, buttons and pockets, plus that standard creased and wrinkled material effect which is present all the way around it. Underneath the coat you can see the Doctor is wearing his iconic brown pinstriped suit with his shirt collar and tie poking out from the top of it. The legs, just like the suit jacket, also include that creased material effect, while on his feet he's wearing those cream-coloured Converse, and naturally on his soles he's sporting a ton of legal camouflage, but unfortunately no peg holes. So the figure does look excellent, but is somewhat inaccurate. Turning to articulation, while the head can move, it's extremely stiff and difficult to rotate. It could do the Exorcist twist, but I wouldn't recommend it, as that can easily scrape the paint from the figure's neck. The arms can spin through the full 360 degrees at the shoulder, while the forearm can move in and out through 90 degrees at the elbow. There should also be some wrist articulation too, but again, the joint is extraordinarily stiff, to such a point that I almost ripped one of the figure's hands off when attempting to check for any wrist articulation. There should also be some waist articulation, but it's incredibly restricted and tight. The legs can kick forward and back through 90 degrees, and also move out, but he can't do the splits as his legs are restricted by the overcoat. Finally, we also get a 45-degree bend at the knee. So, when it comes to articulation, the figure is steady, but not spectacular. Let's take a look at the Dalek. Honestly, I'm sick of reviewing Daleks, as each one more or less looks exactly the same, and this one offers the exact same detail and features as all of the rest. I will say though that this one looks particularly nice, thanks in part to its paint apps. The bronze sections look really dark and metallic with a subtle glossy sheen to them, which contrasts nicely with the brighter gold sections and hemispheres, balls, bumps, whatever, which have been given a light touch of black around their edges, which dirties them up and makes them look very good. The one difference I can see with this figure is that the plunger at the end of the manipulator arm has been obviously replaced with this series of claws, as seen in The Stolen Earth and Journey's End on the Crucible Daleks. When it comes to articulation, the Dalek's dome can spin through the full 360 degrees, while the eye stalk can move up and down through 45 degrees. The manipulator arm and exterminator gun are both on the standard ball joints, so can move up and down, side to side, and rotate around, although the manipulator is quite loose, and is therefore very hard to pose. Doing a size comparison, you can see the 10th Doctor stands at around the same height as the 2006 original release. It's fairly obvious that both of their bodies have been formed from the same mould, but the newer re-release has been given slightly darker paint apps. But the head sculpt is where you can really see the most change, thanks in part to that excellent redesigned hair sculpt, which portrays the 10th Doctor's iconic hairstyle in a much better fashion than the floppy fringed original release. Comparing the Crucible Dalek to its 2006 counterpart, you can instantaneously notice just how good the paint apps are on the re-release. It looks darker and much less plasticky than the original. You can also see that the eye stalk, manipulator arm and gun are much smaller and more streamlined on the Crucible version. So, overall, what do I think of this set? Well, it's just okay. At the end of the day, these are re-released figures, so it's fair to say that a lot of people might have them both in their collections already. True, the detail on both figures is exceptional, and at this point I will make my standard plea to Character Options to please bring back the larger 5-inch scale figures, as they contain such great detail like these two. But articulation is a major issue. It's really hard to try and turn the 10th Doctor's head, wrists and waist, while the arms and legs also gave me some trouble when I initially took it out of the packaging. The Dalek also features these issues, with the dome being quite stiff, while the manipulator arm is very loose and as a result is almost impossible to pose. I also have some major issues with accuracy, as I'm fairly confident that the 10th Doctor didn't come into contact with this specific type of Dalek until he was transported onto the Crucible itself in the episode Journey's End, not the Stolen Earth, as is printed on the front of the packaging. I'm also pretty confident that he did not wear his glasses for long enough to warrant the figure wearing them. He also didn't wear his overcoat at any time during those scenes. I know these are just little nitpicks, but if this is seriously calling itself a collector's set, it has to be far more accurate than this, especially for collectors to pay £20 for two figures, which they've more than likely bought separately a few years ago. I would also like to have seen some accessories. Perhaps the Doctor should have come with his sonic screwdriver. Having said that, it does have its positives. The packaging contains a nice little cardboard backdrop of the Crucible itself, into which both figures can be placed, which makes for a great looking diorama when they're up on display together. But if you're a major fan of the series like me, you may find that the inaccuracies coupled with the restricted articulation are enough to put you off from picking one up. And so that does it for this review. Thank you very much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, there are countless more reviews online. Thank you again for watching, and remember to keep following the nerd. Goodbye.